Yeah, two songs kind of got to go over. We're gonna be going over "Faith," which is one song with Dia Frampton, and then we're gonna go over "Safe," which is a little more of a different vibe. I'll start with the "Safe," and yeah, so yeah, this song has like it still has like pad layering and saw layering and stuff. But all right. So anyway, so this is kind of like an older version of it. So, it's usually I like to kind of I guess I'll like make the project and then I will you know do all the production stuff and then I like export all the stems out and I start mixing it. So so yeah, this project was kind of inspired by like Odessa stuff. This was like a little over a year, but at the time I was like really interested in that kind of like world sound. So this is I guess I'll just play some parts from this song. The vocal, unfortunately, it's he kind of did the processing for, but I will definitely show you like I'll do some vocal processing on here just to like show how I process a vocal, but I can do a little more detailed vocal processing in the other song with Faith. But anyway, so let's just get this going right here. So this is "Safe." I'm just gonna mute this for a second.
I wish that I could tell you that it's not your fault.
How's the audio there?
I wish that I could give you everything inside the world. So baby, know that I'm sorry when I tell you that I have had this pain for way too long. Even if the world remained the reasons, I wish you could forever know that I tried so. Even with your arms, I'm feeling safer in the night, and I'm not fine. I wish you could forever that I tried.
Yeah, sorry about that little volume spike. Again, like the vocals were done in a different session, so I just didn't really volume match. But yeah, again, so this is not. It sounds a lot different the release version because I did like a complete separate session for mixing. But just to go over, so as you can hear, this is a little more of a chill, like a little more of a chill song. But yeah, right off the bat, I guess I can just go, like top down with the layering. So starts out with just this piano, and the piano is from actually it's from Signal, which is like a kind of a cool plugin from Output. So I got this piano here. And yeah, really pretty not really much processing going on there. It just has some just to open up. Hopefully this doesn't just freeze. There we go. So it's just like one of Signal has like a really nice piano, and it's just called like Sunlight Piano. So I have that piano, and then I have another layer of like.
Make your music stand out, get more views, and way more engagement. Bring your music to life. Get Music Visualizer. In every format, even for social media. Get started today. The link is in the description.
Like a different piano that's playing more of like the melody. Um, and then after that's like the little intro that's going on, and after the melody, I kind of layered it with another kind of this is like I don't know. I was really going for that Odessa kind of vibe. Even at the time, had this called Odessa, spelled incorrectly, but so I wanted like a kind of worldy sound. So I brought this kind of instrument in. And that's just like something from Omnisphere. Omnisphere is like a great synth that has like pretty much anything you wanted, like anything organic, I would say you can find in Omnisphere. It's not really, I mean, of course it's also a synth, and you can also get kind of cool sounding synth stuff, but it was just, I don't even know, archophonic echoes. I guess it's just like yeah, it's like very like kind of like metallic-y and percussive-y but tonal at the same time. Just let's solo it on its own. And that is when we started adding in some more like pads, and this is like a pad I use all the time. It's just like a pretty basic like pad from, you can make it in Serum with just like just like a saw wave. That's just like opening up, and then that's layered with another pad here. I don't know, and it just gave that kind of like big kind of like world vibes, kind of like still like not like too much. Anybody have any questions? What reverb did you use on the Omnisphere synth? Let's see. I don't know. I think I mean I really always use the same reverb. It's either like Vintage Verb from Valhalla or it's Valhalla Room, but it's generally all Valhalla stuff. Favorite reverb for sure. Sometimes it's even Ableton's reverb, but that depends. Let's see what we got here. Oh yeah, just to keep it kind of worldly, this is like some more just like stuff from Omnisphere that plays, and this is like the Iru or Uru. I don't even know how you say it, honestly. I feel like kind of dumb, but it's like it's like. There's that, and then that layered with another one. That's because like essentially it's just a sampler, and from at this point in Omnisphere, we're like just sampled a like kind of like a long, drony Iru, whatever it's called. So you can't really make much of a melody with it. So I had to kind of like experiment and do like different like like different kind of like different points of the sound. And I used it a lot. What's this? Oh, this isn't an Iru anymore. This is just like monophonic strings and stuff, and then that is layered with just another. Let me just go in the chat real quick. Okay. In terms of mixing the pads, do you tend to put them out wide? Yeah. So generally the this pad is has like this one has this is like an older version. Now I have like the newer ozone, but this is just kind of like taking like bringing out the top end and then kind of reducing the low end to be a little more mono. And the cool thing about this is you whatever sound you are using, say I play it, you can have it just kind of learn the points of you press learn and it will kind of find the points of frequency separation. And so as you can see, this has a shit ton of mid-range, this like majority, just a mid synth. But it does have a little bit of like sparkle, so I wanted to kind of bring that out. And this pad is, usually I don't do this, but this time it was used in the drop as well. So the synths here in the drop are generally more paddy influenced than like super saws, but it's the same exact principle as if they were super saws. And in Faith, there's, the next song I'm doing, there's more of those like, melodic bass kind of millennium style super saws. But this one, same deal. So the drop. Yeah, so I got this playing. And it says this is disabled, but it's because it's an S1 imager, and I can still pull that up, but it's disabled because Waves is really annoying, and like if you get a new computer, it won't let you transfer the licenses for some reason. Oh, this is the shuffler, sorry. But for some reason the VSTs work fine, but the audio units are fucked. I don't know why. But anyway, this was literally just making kind of widen this up. And this is just like a choir. From Omnisphere. How to be different in melodic dubstep. Wait, hold on. Let me get back. Let me go back to some of these questions. In terms of mixing pads, you use to make them wide. What elements do you find important to sound design yourself, and which do you find to be advantage of finding good presets for? So generally, the things that this actually kind of answers both questions of like how to sound unique as a in the melodic dubstep kind of genre. So generally, what will stand out in this genre is since this isn't like crazy dubstep bass music where it's like we can make like a signature bass or something. You have to kind of find your sound within like the stack, like the saw stack and the leads and the vocal chops and like all that stuff. You kind of have to have your own sound. So I guess it's more of just kind of experimenting and trying to do different things because the way I found my sound was really just a lot of like experimentation and a lot of just trial and error and using things that at first I didn't like and then I started to like and then tweak that up. So, but yeah, just you kind of have to just keep experimenting and like you know listen to your favorite artists and like generally in this genre it's really not the stuff isn't really that complicated like it's there's nothing too crazy but it's like also kind of important to you know separate yourself in the way don't like copy another artist too much but like definitely I would say definitely get inspired by an artist that you like and try and like make that, but like in your own way, if that makes any sense. Um, what did you use for the choir? Oh, the choir is just another atmosphere patch. Yeah, atmosphere has really good like choirs and stuff, voice choir, and it's just like I took out the high end because I wanted these. These kind of are used for like some high end because it didn't really it kind of was lacking high end a little bit. And just by like hearing this, I like changed the kick sample. Like this is an older project. The kick in this is like not that great. But anyway, this is kind of unorganized. So it looks like this is like these are like the vocal chops where I don't even remember where the I don't know what this is. I think this was a CLA vocal compressor, but anyway, the chops are like they sound like this. Soloed. And so since this is like the main thing, I wanted this to kind of maintain most of the high end in the song. So let me just see what time it is to make sure I'm not taking up too much time with this project because I know everybody wants to hear the Faith or whatever. Oh, nice. Not that long at all. So this was originally a CLA vocal plugin, which is muted because Waves is annoying as hell. So I'll just throw it in here to just show what I would be doing. All right. Let's just see if there's any questions. Omnisphere is expensive. Yeah, it is. Do you normally mix master your own music or do you outsource? It depends. Like, actually, this one was mixed by me, but it was mastered by somebody else because it was like it was in a key where there was a lot of like C and B notes where the sub was like not being it wasn't being heard very well. So I was just like trying so much and it was just like very hard. So to make it like sound like full and like in the low end. So yeah, this one I ended up having mastered by somebody else, but yeah, so it all depends on the project. Like the thing about your own music is if you're like when you're producing it like from the start and to like the point it is now, you're hearing it so many times over and over and over and over that you're not even realizing like subconsciously you're getting used to the way it sounds before it's like mixed and polished and before it's like if you're mixing your own stuff and you make a move that's like if you just heard it for the first time as like an like an engineer that's listening objectively and then they're gonna be able to tell if like if something sounds muddy or something is just too too bright, things are like too compressed. But since you're used to it that way, um, sometimes the moves you make aren't always the correct move just because you're so used to it sounding like that, and sometimes the moves you don't make um, would be the right moves because you're just so used to it sounding a certain way. So sometimes it's good to just like send it off to an engineer their job is just to listen to what's wrong with it, listen to the problem areas, and just fix them. So yeah, it just depends on the song. How do you get such crispy high end? Well, I mean, it's that's also like a mixing thing, but this song actually doesn't have the best example as like the crispy high end, but just to keep going, there's like more layers. So besides the vocal chops, let me just see if there's any questions about the vocal chops before I keep going. Um, on your vocal chin, do you tend to put reverb directly on the channel or use parallel for the FX reverb? Yeah, so for the for this one, I just had it directly on the channel, but that's like not the best way to do it, honestly. It's just kind of it's a little lazy. Like I was just lazy and I just threw the reverb on the channel, but like it's always better to have reverb on even like in Ableton. Like either have it on like if you're in Ableton to either make like use a send or to just make an effect rack where you can like it's essentially the same thing, but that way you can kind of like control the reverb on its own, and you can EQ the reverb, saturate it, whatever, put stereo imaging, and it won't affect the original sound. But like if you have it here, if you just have the reverb on the channel, you're just kind of mixing it in, then you don't have as much control. So I would definitely recommend not to do what I did here. Um, Is there a reason you have deactivated clips still in the project? Yeah, they're just like a mix of like experimenting with different things. Like even like if you watch Skrillex's his last two songs, he had his Ableton file up, and you'll see like a bunch of things turned off and a bunch of things bypassed, plugins bypassed. But I don't even know what this was. Let's see what this is. Okay, so this is just a lower version of the vocal chop, and I ended up taking it out because I guess didn't work. All right, so then this is probably more of a just another pad. Okay. So this is like more of that rhythmic pad that you hear. And I think when I mixed this, I brought this out more, but in this project, yeah, it's just kind of buried a little bit. But it would if you bring it out more, you'll hear it. But yeah, it takes up a lot of headroom, as you can hear. Me just turning it up a little bit, just kind of like it just essentially just like took over the entire drop. So that's why this was like kind of very low in volume. And it was like the arpeggio is kind of what's giving it that movement. So the arpeggio is giving it that like rhythmic, which you can do like in the MIDI itself, but in this case, I just kind of had the arpeggio doing the work. Holy shit. Yeah, so if I took that off, it would just sound like another pad. And also LFO tool is like being annoying. Here we go. Now it should be loud now. All right. So that brings us to the kind of the bass, and this is where a lot of people get stuck in this kind of genre, this melodic genre. A lot of the processing is not really the saws and the leads and stuff. It's a lot of it is the bass, but this genre is a very psychological genre where like you have to do things indirectly to make other things sound more full. So like a lot of times you might think that the song needs more high end or needs more like mids, but it's actually that you need more bass, and then the bass is what makes the rest of it sound full. So yeah, so there's like three different layers here. We got just a sub, looks like, which you can hardly hear in this. Yeah, kind of hard. You see what I mean though with this this key? Like the sub is just not really like this was a lot of work to make this sub work. And then this is more of like a mid bass, which is like originally it was like a bass that me and Last Heroes used. I think it was one of their basses, but then I ended up changing it to this like more gritty sound. All right. Also, real quick, this sounds like really quiet on my end. Like the project just sounds quiet to me. Are you guys sure that it's good? Like my voice isn't like super loud compared to it. Just like let me know if like if you think I should like turn things up or anything. For the sub, it was this was just a sine wave. This is actually a sub from Virtual Riot's pack, which is like really cool because it's just like called dedicated sub, and it's just like a sub, but it also has like these harmonics you can add, which is kind of cool. Just for the sake of it, I'm just gonna turn this up just for the sake of the stream. So yeah, like these are the harmonics you can add in. And there's another one. If you needed to kind of make your sub stand out a little more. So yeah. See if there's any other questions about the sub. Okay, cool. Awesome. All right. So then there's one other bass layer, and this layer is kind of more of a it's just like a bass that I tend to use more in verses. It's just like that classic like Reese kind of bass, but just like with the cutoff, not so like with not such like a high pass filter. And this was a bass that I was working on a track with Science, and we were using this bass like in our tune. Looks like it's just from a Cymatics pack actually, and then we probably like tweaked it a little bit. So originally it was like, you know, like this, but we like brought it out to be more of a and this is just like it looks like I wanted to like kind of like saturate it up, so I use like a bunch of different like Camel Crusher, and then another OTT, and then another Camel Crusher, and then another OTT, and then a pedal. So a lot of saturation. And then I kind of just like took out all that the stuff that the saturator all that saturation added. I just EQ'd out, So, because like obviously this is a lot, and once you kind of get that distorted sound, you can kind of shape the sound to be how you want it. Cool. Drums, I'll just go over real quick because there's really nothing too special. Again, the kick drum I changed, but I think it was just like a bunch of different samples from Splice, and I think this kick was from Virtual Rights pack, and it was just like one of his kick drums. Oh yeah, that sub is like, I forgot to turn that sub up. Yeah, just honestly, just samples, nothing too crazy. A little bit of EQing on, because there's a lot of layers, so you had to kind of needed to shape things a little bit so they're not like all clashing. What else we got? Where's the kick? The kick is the. So it was a kick from. Looks like. Yeah, it looks like one of Vocali's kicks. And then like a top kick here, just to add a little more punch. And then, yeah, it looks like I tried one of Virtual Riot's kicks. Actually, you know what? I think this might have been the kick I ended up using. Anyway, and then just like literally just a loop. Kind of give that groove a little bit. So yeah, all together. And add the bass. And then the synths. Oops. What's your creative process like when coming up with melodies and progressions? So yeah, normally I will start out with the chords because the chords just tend to have the most like inspiration to me, and everybody else is different. But for me, like once I have a good chord progression, like a good emotional chord progression, you know, I that's when I think of like melodies in my head, and you know, everything is like kind of goes from there. But it all generally started just from this entire track. I remember like I made it, and it was like I played this on the piano. Hold on. Whoops. Like I just played this on the piano, and it just like inspired the entire song. And then like from that chord progression, like that's where like this kind of melody here came from. Yeah, so some people don't do it this way though. Like there's other great artists that kind of like to start out with like the melody and then the chords come from there. For the most part, do you put multi-band comp on each bass layer? Like yeah, a lot. Sometimes I'll put like OTT on at some point in the process. But if I don't want that OTT sound, I'll put on just like a basic multi-band compressor. So without that's not so extreme, but it's usually Ableton stock multi-band compressors. If I'm mixing in another session, I'll use like a more like intense or like more like sophisticated one from like Waves or like Isotope. But yeah, for the most part, nothing too crazy. Is it better to layer your kicks or heavily process a single sample? Like depending on the sample, there's some that just sound great on their own, but then there's some that like need a little bit of processing and separation. So, like this one, I think that it just needed more like top end, and sometimes like yeah, it just has that kind of like trappy sound, and I don't think it wasn't like a ton, but it just needed like a little clicky kick. So you probably can't even really hear the difference, but if I like bring that up, you'll hear like. And also, here's the thing. It's one tip from this genre, or just like any genre actually, would be to test the song like throughout the process with like a limiter and like what it would sound like with a mastering chain on. So like I would like crank up the limiter so it's like squashed. I'm not gonna do it right now because it's gonna be super loud. But, you would like throw the limiter up because like that will like chop off a lot of transients. So then you kind of have to do like other techniques to kind of make it sound punchy. So it's good to kind of test what it would sound like with a master on, so you don't need to go back later on. That's my snare layers. In this project, it looks like it's just some Cashmere samples and some Virtual Ride samples, and I don't really know what this one is, but they're just pretty basic, nothing too crazy. Alright, so that's like more of a clap. This one's more of a snare, like more of a something from the sample pack. And then this one, just one extra layer to kind of give that pre-roll snare effect. Yeah. And yeah, this one was a pretty simple project. This wasn't anything too crazy. Let me see before I go over to the other project. If there's anything else. So what is this? I don't even know what this is. Oh, cool. Yeah, I wanted that. Like, I think I heard it in Odessa's song "Line of Sight," and I just kind of it's like that kind of like swing tribally drums. And those were just played like with MIDI. And so I play the drums, so I just usually like when I program drums in, I like to like make I make my own kits on like a drum rack, or I find drum kits that I like, and I'll just be able to just play it with the project. You'll get a more like natural sounding beat than just using like loops. If you do it yourself, and I don't even think that this is like quantized, because it was just like every like swing. Oh, it looks like it is quantized to an extent, but it looks like every like algorithm, like quantization algorithm, was just not, even the like the swing versions was just not like doing it for me. So I just kind of like remember I just played it and then kind of like move notes over and like. Yeah. Okay, cool. So so the next one is the complete opposite of this. It's a complete massive project, and my computer was like screwing up and like being super slow. So I had to do it in literally three different sessions where I had like a verse session, and then I had a like kind of like breakdown build section, and then I had a drop section. So I'm gonna go over like each one very quickly, and let me just load the project up while I'll start with I'll start with this one, and this one is just kind of yeah, I didn't really do anything that I wanted to change here. All right, so while this is loading, any questions? You mentioned pre-roll snare. Could you elaborate? So a pre-roll snare is like it's like it's like a snare that like has like a little delay, and it has this little like bit of like audio that kind of makes it sound like it's like sweeping and like kind of sweeping into the
Make your music stand out, get more views, and way more engagement. Bring your music to life. Get Music Visualizer. In every format, even for social media. Get started today. The link is in the description.
the transient. So you know, I can show you a little more with the pre-roll snares, but let me just make sure that I'm not frozen, because on my thing, I'm not seeing me move. This is weird. Can you show how to use your reverb so that the mix sounds full and real? Yeah, sure. All right, so this is the Faith, and this is just the verse section. So let me go from here.
I know I'm the reason you're hurting, and I know that I still don't deserve it. And you know that I'll never be perfect. I'm trying though. I see what I am and I hate it. You give me a heart and I break it. I don't know how long you can take this. I need to know. Do you have faith in me? Or did I let you down too many times? You know I'm trying to be a little better now. I never get it right. And you say it's hard to believe me, that you can't afford to need me. I caught you deep, you're running dry. But do you still have faith in me? Do you still have
All right, so I'm gonna just fade it there because the drop is in a different project, so it's just gonna which I'm gonna go over after this. But until then, you know, there's a few. I know you wanted to go over some vocal processing, so I can definitely do that. Oh wait, actually, I think the vocal is in the other session. But anyway, so real quick with this one, there's just like some pretty basic stuff going along, kind of like with what I just kind of went over there. Just pads and synths and like an acoustic guitar. But if I like just solo I called it harmonies because it's not really like melody playing. It's just like a little bit of like acoustic guitar with some pads and synths. but yeah, nothing too crazy. It's mainly the what gives that ambient feel is these pads. But oh yeah, so do you want me to go over the pre-shifted snare, or do you want me to just keep going with this? So a lot of questions about the pre-roll snare, but yeah, like Cashmere in his packs, he has a lot of pre-roll snares. But if I just write pre-roll or shifted snares, I think it's called, yeah, pre-shifted claps, you'll hear that it doesn't just like hit on the beat. There's like a little bit of like just a tiny, like even like a few milliseconds of just like kind of like the sweeping effect. Yeah, like none of these really just hit on the beat. So that's all really a pre-shifted snares. Any questions on this so far? Um, yeah, so I really wanted to kind of emulate like a finger picking guitar, and so I just kind of like played the melody of like it's not just like straight chords. It's like more of just like it's like what a person playing guitar would play if they were finger picking. So like this is like a piano, but like this isn't the best example because this is very like reverbed out. But if I just get like if I just change this to like something like I'll just do massive because massive is like no CPU. Okay. And let's just make like a pluck real quick because this needs to be heard like a pluck. But yeah, so yeah, so it's like the notes are played like a guitar. Here, let's see. Never know what to ask, so please ask away. This the guitar in this I think was from it was like a mix of me playing and then a mix of like one of like context because like I think it's like strummed acoustic, has some cool like strumming effect, and but you can't really do that much with it in terms of like melody. So kind of I kind of like would like play this and then separate the notes out. But like a lot of them are like just for CPU because like they use so much CPU. Like I probably never used anything like this. They use like the most CPU I've ever used on those like contact plugins. So I had to like in order to like really show this right, I had to like freeze them and flatten. But yeah. All right, let's go to the vocals and stuff. And then so just to like go over some general stuff. This song was like kind of this one took quite a long time to make. Where like most of the time, my song, I usually I can like I'll usually finish something in like I would say like a few like 2 to 3 weeks, or like it's like my average. But this one was like a lot of like trial and error, and a lot of like um, drops that I didn't think really worked, and then me making a new drop, and then me like not really liking the verse. So that's why with this one there's like so many projects, and whereas the other one was just kind of like one project where it kind of just went smoothly. But like this was like the first time working with like somebody like Dia Frampton, who's like a really talented singer. So I wanted to make sure that this was like, you know, like quality all around. Workflow tips for chord creating. Yeah, I can go over that. But yeah, this one just like was like a massive project. So essentially, Dia hit me up from my Dabin remix. I mean, she wanted me to remix one of her songs, so I made a remix for one of her songs, and then in exchange, we just kind of like she would like sing on one of my songs, and it kind of just worked out from there. But yeah, this one has more chords and stuff, so this would be a good project to go over for chords. But real quick, these are the vocals. Freaking amazing vocals, Dia Frampton.
I know I'm the reason you're hurting, and I know that I still don't deserve it, and you know that I'll never be perfect. I'm trying though. I see what I am and I hate it.
Yeah, so it sounded pretty good from the start. She just has some like background vocals and some lead vocals, and then some vocoder stuff down the road. But it's really just pretty basic processing. It's like rate this plugin here. It just kind of adds some saturation to any sound. And if you don't have it on clean, it'll give this like noisy effect that never really stops. So I generally don't really use that. But then I just have from Nectar some, let's see what I have. This is a little bit, okay. So yeah, I just, I think I did some, little pitch correction, and then some EQ, taking out some of the frequencies that were annoying. Another EQ, which was like, this one's more like boosting. Some little bit of compression because she already had some compression. And yeah, that's it for Nectar. And then this is a cool plugin. This is like a de-esser, and it's probably my favorite de-esser. I'll explain that in a minute why. But let me just see if there's any questions before I keep going. Anyway, so yeah, this is my favorite de-esser because it not only does it like take out the annoying like S frequencies and the sibilant frequencies, but it also like boosts in a transparent way that after it like takes out the annoying frequencies, so you don't really get that. It's a lot more transparent than other de-essers. So yeah, it's pretty cool. And this is where I just had some kind of chops at the beginning. And this one has a shit ton of pads, and I'll go over that now.
A little better now, I never get it right. You say it's hard to believe me, that you can't afford to need me. I cut you deep, you're running dry. But do you still have faith in me? But do you still have faith in me? Do you
Yeah, again, the drop is in the other one. But anyway, so these pads are generally same deal as the other one, just a lot of different layering and processing on each kind of sound. The way that I get like I think somebody asked the workflow for the um, chord creating is again a lot of trial and error, but essentially like it kind of depends if you I guess it depends if you like um, know music theory or you play piano, but for somebody that like plays the piano and somebody that knows a little bit about theory, it's a lot easier to just know like what chord comes next. But yeah, it's just a lot of experimenting and like these chords aren't anything crazy. Like this is pretty basic progression. Um, and just like once you get a good nice progression that you like and you get inspired by, like I said, that's where like the entire song kind of springs off, and then just a bunch of crap load layering. And I think this is yeah, this is like a subtle kind of thing. It's like kind of like an ear candy thing. This is like a horn that plays like on its own. And it just kind of complements these other pads that play. And then I just kept adding different stuff. But like another cool thing in terms of inspiration is listening to her voice and like seeing what her voice does if you're working with a singer. But you see how she's singing this melody here.
You know I'm trying to be a little better now. I never get it right.
So you see like these little alterations in the chord progression complement her voice. It's not just you're not just playing like chords like and then repeating them. You're constantly listening to like her vocal and then doing these little like articulations in the chord progression to kind of just like switch things up and make it sound more emotional. And I think that's one of those things that separates like people in this genre is like just like don't do the same thing over and over and like make it more natural and don't get stuck in a loop that just is the same thing over time. Like constantly change it because as you can see, like it even changes some more. Let's see.
Get it right. You say it's hard to believe me that you can't afford to need me.
So yeah, you see how she said she has that kind of like alteration where she's singing like and you can't afford to need me or
To
whatever.
believe me that you can't afford to need me.
Well, that's where I changed. I kind of had the melody also following that little phrase there. So if you listen to these little things here, it's like. So that little note there is only used at that one part where she says, and you can't afford to leave me or whatever she says.
That you can't afford to need me.
So yeah, just little complimenting things can go a long way. Okay, show the chops, please. Okay, yeah, I mean, it's essentially the same thing as the other chops I had in the last song. The only difference is these aren't like these was like this isn't the drop, so I didn't. These chops were kind of just. I want it to be a lot more gentle, and it looks like I'm seeing H here, so I definitely had like H delay from waves. Um, but that's just like you can do this with any delay. But they were just playing like kind of reverb and delay on the bus, and then pretty basic stuff here. Yeah, and that's like my intro there. Which is like where those acoustic guitars are playing, and then I have this, and then she starts singing here.
I know I'm the reason you're hurting.
And the instrumental is actually in the other project, but which is a huge pain in the ass, and I'm sorry about that. But if there's no way that I can show this project without like freezing, so I had to like do it like this. But yeah, I think the only thing that's kind of cool about this progression, these vocal chops here, are that I just have like the format going down a little bit at the very end. Where it gets kind of lower in format, and that's just like with like a little alter boy here, so you can see. Oh wait, yeah, okay, so you can see it right here. Great plugin. I use little alter boy all the time. And as you can see here, the reverb is like turned off because I ended up just like putting it on the made a group from these chops and just kind of processed them as a whole. And then the last thing before the drop is just kind of build a crap load of build drums that are just extreme amount of layers. Yeah, just a lot of different messing around with chopping up loops and cashmere loops and making my own rhythm with them, and then me not thinking that this was enough, so I made a whole nother group and had more stuff and more different patterns. So yeah, this was like a lot of trial and error. I would say that the build up drums are like a project in itself. They took like 2 days to make these build drums work. See if there's any other questions before I keep going. Yeah, the guitar was like I said that earlier. It's like a mix of me playing like some notes on the guitar, and some of them were like strumming stuff was like from Contact strummed acoustic, where and then I blend those together and I made like a melody and played it like that. But I kind of already I went over that a little bit ago. If so, can you go over the process of how you typically record and process your guitars? Yeah, I mean the guitar's not in this session, but it's really just I use Slate Digital's this plugin here. It's like this is like the best, in my opinion, the best guitar processing plugin. It's better than Guitar Rig. It just has like a better sound. Just like the presets sound really good, and then also just like the amps, and you don't really get that like noisy kind of annoying sizzle that like a lot of the amps have in Guitar Rig. But just kind of check that plugin out, and then yeah, all this stuff is generally done in the box of that plugin, like compression and EQ, and it even has like preamps in there, which is cool. Any other guitar? Like, do you want me to go more detail for the guitar? Or? All right. Well, let's see. Let me go start going over some of the drop now. Yeah. Yeah, and this project was like another the drop. I think I had like 6 different drops with this song, of like just experimenting until I got something I really liked. But yeah, it was this was like a very big project, and I'm happy. I'm pretty happy it's over because it was starting to get kind of stressful. I'm not gonna lie. Um, with this genre, for people that make this kind of melodic bass, it's this is one thing I kind of tell people that I'm like teaching and stuff is like, but except like besides like dubstep, I mean like not besides that, like if you're making like dubstep and like bass music, um, like you can get away with just like playing whatever and like making the basses and then making the track and then mixing it. But like this melodic like bass music and like future bass and melodic dubstep, that stuff, it's the one genre where you kind of have to think about mixing from the this is what Waves does. This is like so annoying. I can't believe that they do this. Like I have licenses and it like thinks that I don't. Um, but anyway, you kind of have to think about the mix very early on, essentially when you're producing it, because if you don't get the mix right, then you're really not going to be able to. You'll be able to obviously like mix it and have it like sound good, but it's if you're not getting it right from the start, you're not really. It's not gonna work. So you need to think about like having the sub sounding right, having the mid sounding right, having the high mid sounding right, and like if it's not, then you need to just keep experimenting and keep going and trying different sounds and trying different layers, and so you get like something that works. And again, like this is this is mixed after this, but still like I want to get it good to a point where I'm happy with it, and then I'll bounce all the stems out and mix it. Yeah, so as you can see, this is like it's not that bad actually. The drop. This is the first drop. And then the second drop is just more of a progressive kind of version, where it's like progressive house, and then it goes back into like the kind of future bassy whatever drop. All right, you guys get the point. Let me just look at the questions here. Checked in late. Checked in late, but I have a question. If you had to give one tip for finishing your tracks and staying motivated, what would you do? Okay, so let's see. It's important to. It's definitely important to kind of like make your own deadlines. And kind of follow those deadlines. And so I have like a little whiteboard where I like make like finish this song on this date, and it's not like it's not complete. You don't have to like if you don't hit that deadline exactly, it's okay. But it's just like a goal, and then you kind of don't do anything until you finish that song, and then move on to another song because that's how you kind of stay like consistent, and you treat it kind of like it's like a job, you know, like it still have fun with it. Obviously, don't like do too much in terms of like putting too much pressure on yourself, but you know, if you don't set deadlines, you'll end up like just starting a track, liking where it's going, and then you go to another one and get and like there, and it's just like you don't really get stuff done. So if you need to stay motivated, you know, definitely listen to your favorite artists that you're inspired by until you want to, you know, until you want to work on something that sounds like them and you're really happy with that, and then you just like keep keep going with that. So yeah, so also I'm seeing like angry faces and like sad faces. Is things working or um okay, so next thing, how do you do that filter sweep? It's insane. Which is the filter sweep? Like the talk about like the bass at the beginning, like that thing. That's just I believe um it's from like another project, but I just did like just has probably just has like a filter on it or an auto filter. Yeah, so the auto filter is just kind of sweeping up, and then I added like a resonator to kind of make the tone come out more. So you like set the key of what the your tracks in, and you just turn the resonator and I just mix that in. I guess I didn't really do it there. Some OTT. This is a cool AU5 made this. It's like OTT, but it's like mid side. So it's like a mid side OTT where you can OTT the mids, but the sides are not really affected, and it gives like a kind of different sound. Okay, so next thing, you go over layering leads and how to blend them with the saws. Yeah, so leads definitely play an important role. Because like if I tend to have like my chords and stuff in one group, and then my like leads and stuff in another. So like if I just like muted the lead group here, which I also have like different options, different versions, it'll kind of sound a little boring. And this is like what I think Alex has mentioned this in his like kind of like teaching layering and stuff, is a lot of people don't have like a melody on top of the they don't have like a melody on top of the stack. And so like if I didn't have like a melody on top, it would just sound like this. Which I want to also mute this too, just to show. Like it's cool, but it doesn't have like a memorable quality to it. There's no like melody. So for any like future bass producers, definitely like make a melody as well. So yeah, it just for this one, you know, for the stack and stuff. This one was like it was like just a pretty basic, like one of those like kind of like lawnmower style kind of basses. Which like I'm sure you've heard over and over. But that's like my like kind of like low bass that you hear. And then like I just kind of boosted some of the low end because I don't think the sub was like pumping through that much. Okay, so you know, this is one track where like I didn't use a dedicated sub. I just kind of mixed in the bass as like a whole. Um, and let's see how I am with time here. And so like I have it's just like one full bass, like full spectrum almost. Just a little bit of high end cut out. But I think as I was listening to this, it just like this is what I'm talking about with like having to mix while you're producing this kind of genre. As I was listening to it in my car and like all this like and these like trying to get it right, the sub, no matter what I did, I just didn't get that low end really that I wanted. So in this case, and this is like dangerous territory, don't always do this, but if it works, it works. I added another sub, but an octave above, and then just kind of blended it in to this bass, and it just made it work for this. And yeah, so this is just like that sub I was showing you guys earlier. So you hardly even hear it, but you can see it's like dropped down quite a bit, but it just filled it up a little better. So yeah, you put them together. Yeah, so that's like the main two basses. This is like this one I remember. So this one was like two super saw layers. Hold on, let me just see if there's any questions. For the first drum and super saw, you did some kind of filtering. Oh, yeah, I'll go into that in a second. I just want to go over like the layering and stuff for this. Thanks for everything, man. Really great worship, but I'll finish the rest. Okay, cool. See you, man. Can you also explain how you use kick type, what it does? Oh yeah. So this is a really cool trick for like making your sub more full. It's like kind of like the same, and I'll make this kind of quick because I don't think everybody here uses Ableton, and this is really an Ableton specific question. But essentially, what it's doing is just adding like a little more tone to the sound, because what it is it's corpus, and corpus is just emulating like material essentially, and you just kind of very lightly blend it in and play with like the knobs and stuff. And then what I do is I side chain it to the like the source. So in this case, I had this as sub 2. So what this does is it'll change every time the note changes, as you can see here. Let me do this one, you hear better. It just makes it sound more full, man. That's really it. So if I turn it off, the low end just pops out a little bit more, and it's a cool trick to just bring the low end out a little bit. But again, I don't know if everybody here uses Ableton, so I won't go into too much detail there. You also man. Okay. Next one is just like a serum patch, kind of just playing. And one important thing with these stacks is to have each layer playing like different intervals than the other one. So like one stack will play like, maybe like say it's in like C, it'll play like a first inversion C, and then the other one would play a second inversion C. So just like if they all are playing the same thing, they're gonna start to mask each other. So you want to kind of try and alter it a little bit. And then I have one other layer here, but that's like kind of like my SIG sound, but it's really just a lot of like this is just 2 layers, but it's just like a kind of layering thing I use that I can't really quite give out. But everything else I can totally go over. And then there's just like another mid bass here. This one is just kind of filling up the like, I don't know, like it needed a little bit, like if you're listening to it on laptop speakers, or like if you're listening to it on, you know, headphone, like Apple headphones, sometimes the bass doesn't come through. So this is just like a bass that makes things pop out in those like mono sounding basses, like basses. And it's just like a silent layer. And yeah, it's pretty basic sound. But the main thing is like pushing up this like kind of upper mid range, and that kind of is what brings this bass out a little bit more. Because if this wasn't going on, it would just sound a little dull, I guess. And it's like different for each song. Like sometimes I won't do this, sometimes I will. But you kind of have to like, again, you just have to mix while you're going. So on its own, this is like, oh, and this one here is I didn't end up using, so I'm not going to even go over that. But I remember it because I turned that off when the when I mix this. Like, let me just see where the filtering one is. I wonder how you get your synth so wide. Sounds really great, man. Yeah, so the there's always like every one of these saw stack things. They have like a little bit of well.
Make your music stand out, get more views, and way more engagement. Bring your music to life. Get Music Visualizer. In every format, even for social media. Get started today. The link is in the description.
So if Waves wasn't really screwing with me, I would show you what is going on here. But there is always a little bit of like S1 imager which like widens things up essentially. And then, you know, so this probably had a little bit of like widening going on here. And then also if you're in Ableton, I always do like a little bit of like stereo separation just on a utility. And then this kind of, and then I kind of shaped it by taking off the high end, whereas before it sounded like this. Right, it was just a little bit noisy, so I took out some of the high end, and so it kind of sounds like that pad that I used in my last video. Do you put that on each individual layer or on the group? The S1 imager, no, I put that on each individual layer, because if you do it, you want some of the pads and some of the synths to kind of have like center, kind of occupy some of the center, and then you gradually like widen things up. One plugin I like to use also is, I believe it's free. I believe it's free, and it's called what's it called? Sound Delay. This is another cool stereo separation plugin, and you can just download this for free. And it's from like the same people that make Span. But this is essentially doing like sample delay, and so it'll have like the left and like it's kind of like the Haas effect, but a little differently because it's using like samples, like which is like kind of delay compensation for like analog gear and stuff like that. But anyway, you can use it for a stereo technique where like you can separate the left and right with like different amounts of delay, and that also gives you kind of like a wide signal. Look in the chat. I noticed the layer has a rhythmic element too. Is that something you recommend doing in any given band? No, there's the that's just like an LFO, but like that's just a case by case basis. It kind of has for this song, it had like an LFO. For others, I'll just have like no rhythm going. But generally, if I wanted a rhythm really going, I would be doing the rhythm in the MIDI itself. It's like this you can like shape the rhythm this way, and this way you can have more of like a controlled, maybe just like this way you can like have it do really cool like different mutes and stuff like that. That muted because I have some mutes, some volume automation here. Okay. Let me see. Go back real quick. And for that, filter is 8 and 9 seconds into the first drop. 8 or 9 seconds into the first drop. Oh wait, this is the second drop, sorry. Oh yeah, so yeah, I see what you're talking about the so yeah, I have my like my stack, my like saw stack and all that in a group, and I'll that way I can just like if I want to like filter stuff, I'll like use like it was just like an auto filter cutting out the high end quickly. I'm kind of automating it. Yeah, so that's what that's doing. If it didn't have that, you wouldn't get that effect. Actually, it did have that effect. That was weird. Okay, yeah, that's because I have all these layers. So yeah, if I turn this off. Here, let me just solo this one so you can really hear what's going on. And then like as the whole group with the like the mids and the subs. Yeah, so it's just everything's going as a group with this auto filter here. And before doesn't have it. So that's what that is. All right, so yeah, so the next part was just like besides that, like these little kind of bass one shots and stuff is like this leads, where it's like a mix of like different layers and stuff. So there's like this kind of like one lead that's is kind of like pretty cool to make. Is just like this. It's like a hard style kind of lead where it's like very distorted sounding. Let me I actually took off a lot of the high end and low end here, but here we go. And then I was like it was a little too much, so I just took out some of the and that's like one of the layers in the melody, and then another layer is just let me see. And this has like a lot of the lows and highs cut out because I wanted the kind of the super saws to carry all that information. So I cut out like all this high end and all of the low end. So it's very like 1K mid heavy. And I believe in the second drop there's like a little bit of different layering lead wise. Let me just see if there's any questions. How do you sort your leads in a particular distortion? No, this one was just from Serum. Uh, Hopefully this lets me still play if it's not frozen. Yeah, it's just the basic distortion from Serum. But it's a very strong, like this distortion is very strong, and that's how you get that kind of like gritty sound. And yeah, so it's I'm all about like if you find a good preset, I'm all about like using the preset but then tweaking it to your own like kind of like your own sound. It's like you don't really necessarily need to make the sound from scratch. If you find like a good preset, kind of like build off that sound, just like change parameters around, use different wave tables if you're in Serum, and that's how you kind of get your own sound instead of just using presets. But there's nothing wrong with using the presets. It's just kind of like if you want to get your own sound, just kind of change it up a little bit. But at least you have like a little. Think of it like a drawing board, where it's like you have the you have a little template, and then you start adding to that template and making it your own. Tried doing that before with just EQ, did not work well. Oh, you tried what? The filtering? But yeah, so really just those kind of like layers that are playing the melody, and that's what makes the drop sound less. These supersaws sound less like not just chords. That's like a melody. Oh, sorry. Oh, forgot that I muted that. Yeah, as you can hear, it's really that lead I just showed you is like the main lead, and then everything else is kind of just like the other lead I showed you is more of just like a supporting kind of lead to that one. So you kind of want to find a sound that is your main sound, and then you want to have sounds that kind of support that sound. So it seems like I'm almost out of time. See if there's anything else to go over real quick. Oh yeah, and another thing that I've gotten questions about is for this song, why did I change the kick drum for this progressive house part? Because if you notice, the progressive house part has like a different kick than the kind of more melodic dubsteppy, future bassy part. And you know, you can do that. Like if it sounds good, like it's fine. Like if you listen, it's different. And then it goes back to the more dubsteppy kick. But yeah, no, it's like some people say you should always use the same like kick drum as for the drop, as like you shouldn't switch it up, but like just like experiment. If it sounds good, just like it sounds good. If there's any other questions. Tried cutting the highs, but didn't give me the big sweep. Yeah, just use auto filter, dude. It'll sound you'll get that effect. All right, guys. Well, I think that about wraps this one up. Sorry that it seems like it froze on my end, but at least you guys can hear me, and at least you guys, if you go over, you'll be able to see Ableton and stuff like that. Why do you prefer Ableton? It's just like the workflow in Ableton seems. I tend to get stuff done faster just by the way that it operates. I used to use Logic, and I would get like it's just like the way Ableton, the workflow in Ableton just tends to be faster, and you get more creative, and it just really, you just get that sense of like endless possibilities, endless. There's no limitations. But in order for me to really explain that, I would have to go in pretty in depth of what the differences are between like Ableton and Logic, which would take quite a long time, and it's kind of the end of this one. But yeah, so I'm gonna end it here. But thanks a lot, guys. Let me know if you have any questions. I do offer the one-to-ones now. I was supposed to be on tour for right now with Dabin, but yeah, that obviously with the whole Corona situation that got postponed. But yeah, so definitely let me know if you want to continue with some of these, and I'll talk to you guys soon. All right, later.